Hello everyone, welcome in to the online card club by Just Stamp. I'm Anna Marie, and today I'm here to share with you the 4 projects that we completed if you attended my in-person club. If you're not local, you can still join in by watching me create the 4 cards for the month. They are cards that we're going to need either now or soon. Dad's and grad time is upon us, as are birthdays always, and just any card that will make someone's day. I do have the PDF for the project sheet posted on the files section if you're curious about what exactly was used to create any of the projects. You can view that again up in the files section. You can download it if you want to take a quick peek at what the supplies were that are used. I'm going to try to call them out as I create, but sometimes I can't remember the exact name. So these are the 4 cards we're going to be creating, and I will do step-by-step demonstration. I'm going to take these away for the time being. And before I get started, I want to mention a couple of things that are upon us right now. Through the end of the month, we still have the starter kit special. The starter kit's always the best deal during May. Stampin' Up has kicked it up to a great level. You can get an additional $66 in products, so that you're going to get $165 in your choice of bundles, tools, stamps, papers, whatever you like. It's your choice, it's your pick. If you need the entire stamping, cut, and emboss machine, this is the time to get it. And you can still toss in more things in your cart because you get $165 in your choice. You're going to pay only $99 plus tax. There's no shipping. And you're also going to get a paper pumpkin kit. Those of us in the US are lucky enough to get a bonus in our starter kit. If you have any questions about what it means to get the starter kit, please reach out. Buying the starter kit does not mean that you have to sell or that you have to make videos or anything along that line. You can if you want, but it's not required. You can just be a happy shopper. I know I have lots of happy shoppers who shop with me every month, and this includes you. If you think you would benefit from a starter kit, please reach out and ask. I'm extending the invitation to even demonstrators who've been on my team in the past and for one reason or another had to quit. You're always welcome to rejoin. It's just a matter of getting the kit and you're back on the Stamperista team. This ends the end of May, so if you want the great deal, reach out and let me know right away. All right, so next I'm going to introduce you to also, oh dear, I had a flyer for it. I've lost it. Okay, here we go. Coming up is the virtual album retreat by Stampin' Up. This is the first time scrapbooking retreat, and I'm really excited. If you've heard me tell my story, you'll know that I started off as a scrapbooker and then dropped scrapbooking because I felt it was really hard for me to get my pages done. I was too fussy about all the pages and I just wasn't getting them complete. And I found that I could complete a card in a sitting, but not a scrapbook page. So I have lots of photos either printed out or stuck in my phone, and they are ready to see some scrapbook pages. This is my answer. It's a virtual retreat that's coming up in July. The reason I'm mentioning it now is because the kit to attend the retreat and to complete your 12 scrapbook spreads, that's month by month for a year, the kit will be available on May 28th. And I am anticipating that this may sell out. I know we have lots of scrapbookers on board now, thanks to Stampin' Up taking over close to my heart. This is an awesome deal. For $250, you're going to get 12 2-page spreads to create your scrapbooking for month by month for 1 year. So I'm really excited. There is information that's going to be available. I put it out in an email already. You can see the 2-page spreads. If you're interested, be ready to purchase the kit on May 28th. To attend the virtual retreat, you don't need to do anything other than purchase the kit. You're going to be given the link to join in on the virtual demonstrations. If you're not going to be available these dates, these times, it's okay. The video is going to be available after Stampin' Up films it, videos it on these dates. So the cool thing is you can combine these, and that's what I'm suggesting. Join, get your discount on the scrapbooking retreat, and you're still earning rewards because once you purchase the starter kit, you are considered a demonstrator and you earn or you receive a 20% discount to start off, 25% when you meet a certain threshold. And yes, that would apply to the album retreat. You'd get your discount on that $250 and you would earn your $25 in Stampin' rewards. So what a great time to join. My team, I'm just thrilled. They're the friendliest team. We get together monthly. We do swaps. We do some crafting together. We do lots of sharing, and it's just a beautiful group of women. I hope that you would join the Stamperista team. All right, my friends, let's get cracking. We've got 4 cards. I hope that you can sit down and relax and join. You can always catch the replay. Let me know if you popped in. Let me know if you watched the replay. I would love to know who's joining me. I have my beverage and I have to share with you. Oh my God, my cup is adorable. A girl and her dog, a bond that can't be broken. That's me in Finley. Today it's just filled with water because today is a very hot day. I know I'm not going to need to take my sips as I'm crafting. I hope that you've got your things or you've got a beverage ready to go as well. All right, so we are going to start off with that beautiful sunrise settings card. I will say, I have options. If you attended my in-person class, you were offered either a Happy Father's Day card, a Happy Birthday card. This would also work for Happy Retirement. Just the whole scene works out beautifully for all those occasions, and it's a great card for him. So let me share with you what I'm using. Again, on the file section, I have the project sheet you can download so you can see exactly what I used on the card. So this features the Sunrise Sailing Bundle. I think right now it might be unavailable. I'm not certain. It was a couple of days ago when I peeked in, but no worries, it will be returning if it's not there now. All right, so I have, in the interest of time, done a little bit of prep work on all of the projects. I'm going to share with you what exactly I've done. So our project starts off with a basic beige card base, and I'm going to fold and burnish that and set it aside so that I don't get distracted by other things. I'm going to leave my finished card here so you can see. I have a Secret C layer that has been pre-embossed with that beautiful embossing folder, and I know there's going to be disappointment because a lot of this is going to be covered. I also have a strip of the, let's see, it's called the Flower Garden Foil Specialty Paper. It's just a 1-inch strip, and it happens to be in the coordinating color called Cloud Cover. These are both U colors. They work beautifully together. And then I have a piece of the beautiful Gallery Designer Series paper. This is a 6x6 stack. And the cool thing is that beautiful gallery includes flowers and it includes lots of landscape scenes. The flip side is going to be some great background colors. It's a beautiful stack of paper that you will find yourself reaching for. And what we're going to do is adhere that. We're just going to have that foil paper kind of peeking out from the Designer Series paper. And I'm just going to adhere that with my Tombow liquid glue. You can see I just have a short or thin little line, like a little snail trail. And I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch exposed to kind of peek out from the DSP. It's a nice transition to the dark Secret C layer. So there we go. Next, this is where there was disappointment. We're going to cover up a lot of that Secret Sea embossed layer. We're going to have the water peeking out, the clouds, and a tiny bit of that ship. This in itself would make a beautiful card on its own. This is going to be adhered with liquid glue. I am a liquid glue fan. You just have to be careful you're not applying too much glue. This is perfect aggressive adhesive. This is going to be abutted to the edge of the Secret Sea layer. So I'm just going to flip that, push it down, and then push it up. Flip it, and then I'm going to burnish that down, make it stick. And I'm going to flip this over. This is my focal point layer. And I'm going to burnish that down. I see a little bit of unevenness. We can fix that when we attach it later. Now we're going to create our scene. We've got a couple of sailboats in different sizes, and those were built using the coordinating dies for the Sunrise Sailing bundle. Let's see if I have those to show you. I'm going to do my die cutting and a little bit of finishing here. So to create the sailboats, I've got the frame of the boat that I'm going to be cutting in pecan pie, and I'm going to layer it up. I'm going to be using my mini. This bundle works well with your mini. So I like to use the plate number 3, the gray plate. We need a cutting pad number 2. There's my pecan pie. Here's my frame for my larger boat, and my frame for my smaller boat that I'm using on the focal point. I'm going to have my sails in, let's see, basic beige, so large sail and small sail. And then I'm going to run that through on the, whoops, that's going to pop out, obviously. So I'm going to flip those a little bit. When you're running it through the cut and emboss machine, it's better to spread the die lengthwise so that even pressure's applied as it cranks through the machine. Now I'm going to run this through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, the mini. You might hear me cranking. I just didn't lift the machine over to your view, but here we go. We've got the smaller boats, and if that isn't released, the paper's still in the die, I just take my take your pick tool, the piercing tip, and I'm going to pop that out. The larger one already popped out. Then I've got my frames, my boat frames, in beautiful pecan pie. These look very vintage style. I think they're absolutely beautiful. This bundle is absolutely beautiful. Okay, so then I need to do one more run through the cut and emboss machine. Same sandwich. This time I'm going to do those clouds, and these dies are all included in the bundle. I'm going to crank that through, same on the mini. Oops. Yikes. Looks like one of my clouds got cut off a tad. It's okay. It'll be okay. I'm going to try to fix that a little bit. Let's see, I'll grab my snips and kind of see if I can round that out a little bit so it's not such a sharp edge. There we go. And I'm going to show you another little trick I'm going to do. If I have it handy, I do. I'm just going to sand it a little bit. There we go. Fix that through. All right, now let me get my dies set aside so I don't lose them. That's always my fear. Now, they do, nope, they're not marked. The clouds are marked, but not the ships. And I'm just storing them right now in the little plastic sleeve, so I know I have all of my dies. All right, next I'm going to be stamping a tad. And I am using cloud cover, and I happen to have a full-size pad. If you haven't heard, there was a little bit of trouble with the cloud cover ink pad, and this will not be available for sale to customers. However, demonstrators had the opportunity to purchase one on the understanding that we know the color may shift, because that is the issue with the cloud cover and the pad of the ink pad. It is shifting the color. However, you can create your own cloud cover ink pad, sort of like I did with this Seaside Secret Sea ink spot. You can purchase the refill and a set of the ink spots and create your own ink pad. I happen to do this because I was in need of several Secret Sea ink pads. And what I'm going to do is just ink up that sweet little bird, stamp my cloud, and then I'm also going to stamp directly onto the DSP. And that would be designer series paper or pattern paper for some. All right, so let's do that while I have my ink pad handy. While this card is a Happy Father's Day, I also happen to have a Happy Birthday sentiment that I'm going to be using instead. I know lots of stampers have different needs. Some don't need a Happy Father's Day card, but most of us usually need a Happy Birthday card, so it's good to have options. This bundle comes with the sentiment Happy Retirement as well. So I'm just going to stamp a piece of basic beige with the Secret Sea ink pad. And whoops, I did that automatically, didn't even mention what I was doing. So usually when I have an ink spot, I will flip it over and ink direct to the stamp instead of trying to stamp this down onto the ink spot. Here's another tip. When I label my little ink spot, this comes from a label maker, and I'll put it on that adjoining piece where the bottom and the top come together. And that way you just kind of lift it off. It saves me from searching for the lid constantly. And then secondly, I have my color right on there. So that's how I like to create mine. Now before I assemble my ships, I'm going to take my frames and I'm going to grab my sails, and I'm going to get the Pecan Pie ink pad, and I'm just going to dauber the edges of the sails to bring in a little bit of a weathered look. So I'm just going to take a dauber, ink that up, and I'm just going to apply the slightest amount. This is going to kind of set it off from the background. And that's going to go on the smaller one, and then repeat with the larger ship. Sorry, with the larger sailboat. This is hardly a ship. Oh my gosh. What do you think about this paper? I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It goes so nicely with this bundle. And yet, in the paper stack, you will also have lots of florals available to make feminine cards as well. Alrighty, so next, I think I'm ready to piece these together. This cloud is going to go down first, flat, so that means liquid glue. I'm going to go ahead and flip that over, and I'm going to kind of join it right on that transition spot where I have my pattern paper, my foil paper, and my embossed layer. And I'm going to create my sailboats. I'm just going to put a little drop of liquid glue and bring that in. And I want I'm not sure of the sailboat part names, but you can see I have my wood element peeking through the sail, and then I've got my top there, so it has a complete assembled look. And in the interest of not losing this, I'm going to go ahead and add it to my card front right now. And you can see how little glue I use. Remember, it's dot, dot, not a lot. I'm going to bring that over and bring that around so it's kind of sailing in that little port inlet there. And then I'm going to repeat for the larger sailboat. And this time that wood element needs to slip through right around so. And this then also goes flat onto the card front. So when I do a more masculine card, I don't have as many embellishments. It's more of a simple layout and design, meaning I'm not going to do a lot of dimension either. It's very simple. And I'm just going to bring in my boat here, right around so. What do you think? I'm loving the simplicity of the layout. Then I have one more cloud to add, and it's going to kind of peek off the edge. So I'm just going to slide that on here. And because I haven't layered this onto the card base, it's really easy to flip this layer over and just even that out. And I can see a little bit here where I also need to snip. If my cutting wasn't precise, this is the time to fix it. And this then is layered onto my basic beige card base. And again, that's going to go on flat with my liquid glue. So I think the whole color scheme and the landscape of this paper gives the feel of a very serene, calm event. And again, it works really nice as a retirement card, really nice as a birthday card, even a graduation card. The sentiment that is included in the stamp set, I'm going to share that with you in just a second. So I like to burnish from the inside, so if there is any residual glue, I'm not getting it on my bone folder. It's nice and clean. Just going to burnish that nice and tight, and I can see a little bit of trimming is needed. I'm not sure if it shows up on camera. It's like, I don't know, like maybe it's not even a 16th that it's over a tiny bit. And I like that I have my card base, which is straight and even. There we go. And then last, I'm going to add my sentiment, my happy birthday sentiment. I like to snip at an angle on both ends. And then finally, this is what is popped up on those dimensionals. So let me bring in my dimensionals. And I think the width is perfect for the standard size. And I'm going to add a couple. And flip that over and put it down. I'm going to kind of center it low. So there's my happy birthday sentiment. And let me share with you what I've stamped inside. I'm going to take one of the stamps from the stamp set. It's just like a shimmery water image. I'm going to bring in again my cloud cover. If I can find it. I already lost it. It's right here. Didn't go far. Okay, cloud cover, and again, I happen to have the full-size pad. So, hey, there's another reason that you want to join Stampin' Up. You too would have access to the full-size cloud cover pad because it's only available to the demonstrators with the understanding that the color may shift, but I'm okay with that. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp a little bit of the shimmery water down below. And I will share with you, I'm not going to use this greeting, but I do want to share it with you. And so let's see. if I can show you what it says. And I'm going to stamp in Secret C. I'm just going to stamp it on a scrap so you can see. This would be a great option for a grad card or for the retirement card. It says, "You're destined for great things." So that is included in the stamp set. It's a great sentiment for the insert of the card. I'm not going to stamp mine because mine's a happy birthday card. You could still stamp it with that. It's your prerogative. So there we go. A great happy birthday card, happy Father's Day card for him. These are the cards we're going to need to make someone's day, right? All right. I have more to share. Let's keep going. I am trying to tidy up because the messier I get, the easier it is to lose my supplies. All right. So let's switch it up with a pretty card with beautiful flowers. Have a lovely day. I love that sentiment. I love the cutout for lovely. All of this is included in the suite. Well, with the exception of one thing. So this is the Flowers in Bloom suite. What is not part of the suite is that pretty embossing. That's the background layer. That comes from the Pressed Flowers embossing folder, which you can see online. Anybody can buy it, but you can only see it online or if I share it with you. So have a lovely day. I've got a peek through window there. It would be appropriate for just making someone's day in general, for a birthday card, for some kind of a success or congratulations event. So let's get started. It's a clean and simple layout. I'm doing die cutting. I've pre-die cut some, again, just so that I don't have to keep you too long. So my card base is thick basic white. And this month, a couple nights ago, we did have the conversation around the table about the card base. Ideally, it should be a thick base, so thick white or even colored cardstock is thick enough. The standard basic white will be a little less weighty. So if you're trying to stand the card, especially if you layer up, you need that thick white cardstock or colored. All right, so now my next layer is going to be the embossed layer. Oh, look how gorgeous those little flowers are. And I'll tell you how I achieve this. I cut the peek through with the stylish shapes. This is one of the larger circles. Then I embossed it so I wouldn't flatten out my embossed image. And I've set it off slightly to the left and a little bit high. And this layer is going to be applied with dimensionals. So I am using, let's see if I've got enough. Doesn't look like it. Wow. Sometimes I have the edge of the adhesive of the Stampin' Dimensional sheet that I can trim off. It looks like I've already used it. So what I'm going to do is grab my strips. Give me a second. All right, I have options. So what I've got are some strips, and these strips are kind of wide. I'm wondering if they were part of a paper pumpkin kit. They're a little bit wider than the standard strips that we carry regularly. And you know what? I think they're in the catalog. Sometimes they're online. It's hard to keep track of where you're going to find things these days, but you can still get the adhesive strips, and they come in very handy for projects like this. Okay, then you can see I got to the end of my sheet, but I do still have the borders, so I'm going to snag the borders and use them. What I love about the Stampin' Up! Sheets is you can use every last bit, right? And then I'm gonna put a little bit of support in there, so I'm just gonna cut one of the other strips, and I'll cut it in half and place it right in the middle there. We want lots of support. So that's the dimension on the card, is this layer. And usually I try to keep it to 1 layer of dimensionals. Once in a while I will double stack, but there's usually a reason for that. 1 layer will usually go through with standard postage. If you get too thick, the postmaster likes to collect extra postage. All right, so you can see what I did. I just kind of secured that down with those strips, easy. And I'm going to show you on my original card, I used the pattern paper that is part of this suite. It's a Secret C with cloud cover pattern there. However, I had enough attendees this month that I used up the entire packs, the entire sheets of this pattern. So I grabbed another Secret C cloud cover pattern. And this comes from let me tell you, the Vibes paper. Let me grab that. Let's see if I have it. Yes, I do. The Boho Vibes also has a pattern that's appropriate. So I substituted that. This goes on flat. And I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue. Whoops, I got a little bit of a clog there. And there we go. Not a lot. I'm going to put that down right. I'm going to drop it right in that circle that was created with the cutout. All right, then I will tell you I have pre-die cut that word lovely. This comes from the coordinating dies in the the Florals in Bloom suites. What I love about these words, there is a thin scripty sentiment, and there's also a coordinating die to outline the words, these large words. So the die set includes the word lovely and bloom. And let's see if I think of it. I'm going to grab a card. Yes, I do. Whoops. I do have a couple of samples to show you where I used the outline die and the other large greeting. And I'm going to interject here. If you like this suite, I would suggest get that starter kit. You're going to be able to get nearly the entire suite. I'm not sure what the price is on it, but you get $165 for only $99. It is literally the best deal. That's a lot of product that you can purchase for $99. All right, there's my lovely. We're going to be doing some stamping and some die cutting. So since I have my scrap of basic white here, now this is the thinner paper. This is not the thick, it's just the layering basic white. And I am going to stamp. So the greeting says, have a lovely and day. I've joined those on one block, and this is block H. So if you've ever purchased stamp sets within the last, 15 years, you will need blocks because they no longer come on a wooden block. You need the acrylic blocks. And I am a total Stampin' Up! Girl. I think the Stampin' Up! Blocks are the best. They have the ergonomic design. They're easy on the hands. They're nice weight. And they come in various sizes that you need. You don't want to have just one block. You want to go with one that's a little closer to the size of the stamp itself. Makes it much easier to stamp without getting extra ink. Now, I'm going to go ahead and snip that apart. My paper snips. And the day has a little bit extra cardstock on each side. So I'm going to snip that off, as well as bring that in a little bit tighter. All right. I'm going to add that to my card front. And I'm going to grab my tongs here. And this is flat, so the liquid glue. And I'm going to bring it right in here, kind of push it under the lettering. And the tongs help with keeping things straight and kind of shifting it around there. It's kind of hard when you have bigger fingers. There we go. And you want to make sure it's straight. There we go. And I'm going to do the same with the word day. So have a lovely day. I think it's a great greeting for friends, sisters, whoever needs a little bit of a pick-me-up. All right. So it's coming along. We still need our focal point flowers. They are so sweet. They're 3 little posies. They're die cuts. I'm going to share with you how I die cut them. I'm going to put that aside. I am using Peach Pie and the new in color called Timid Tiger. It's a nice tone of the same orange. And then my green is called Granny Apple Green. That's for the stems. And the dies are part of the suite, the Florals and Blooms suite. Now the suite actually has 2 bundles in it. Florals that are just beautiful. My stack on the mini. And if you're not familiar with the mini, it's a tabletop cutting machine. It folds up to a nice little compact size. I always have it right at my table so I don't have to get up to cut. I have it right to the side. The sandwich I need is plate 3. Plate 2 is a cutting plate. And I'm going to put the die for the flower on that peach pie, sorry. Timid Tiger is the detailing on the flower. And then Granny Apple Green is the stems and leaves. And then, let's push that over. I need another cutting plate on top. So that's the sandwich. And that's what it's called, a sandwich. You can kind of see we've got the bread and the meat all together and the lettuce. Whoops. And I have one pass. Let's see if I can do this without things shifting. So today is like a great day to get those cards created that we're going to need in the next couple weeks. Grad cards, Father's Day, happy birthday cards for the month of June. All right, so then you might be wondering what happened to the die cuts. They're still stuck in the die, and sometimes they will pop out if you just drop it down. If that doesn't work, use the Take Your Pick tool. The dies have the little holes built in, so you can just pop them out. Same with these flowers. And then there's one more there. And then my stems. There we go. So sweet. There we go. So there are my 3 elements. We're going to assemble that. Let me put my dies aside. And I'm going to add that you do need to kind of study the flower parts. Some are narrower than others, so that has a narrow bottom to it. It's going to go up here with a smaller one. And then these 2 are a little bit different as well. One's wider, and so that's how they go. So I'm going to join these with a little drop of glue. Dot, right? You do not want it oozing out. You could use a mini glue dot. That would also work easily. And if you are heavy-handed with the glue, that's what I would recommend. You do not want a sticky mess with the glue. And keep your flowers nice and clean I love the little peach colors of the flowers. And I think that that secret seed backdrop sets the flowers off nicely. All right, now we're gonna add our flowers to the stem. So let's put a little drop of glue behind that part of the flower that kind of hugs the petals. Right there. Pressing down. And let's add this. And then one more. Oops. That landed right on the glue, wouldn't you know? Okay, a little tiny bit. Now, I'm gonna flip that over, and my wider one comes to the right. And then the narrow one on the left. Sweet, oh my gosh, they're just charming, right? So pretty. What do you think? Love the color combo with the light and the dark shading. Now I'm going to bring this in, and since we have this up on dimensionals, I can just kind of slip that in where I want. And what I'm going to do is just lift the little flowers and put a drop of glue behind so they stay secure. There's one. Next I'm going to do this, the left, and then finally the center, and that'll make sure it sticks. And oops, I'm going to add a little bit more because it's not quite sticking. Another dot. A little bit of pressure because liquid glue takes a minute to settle. And I'm going to add my embellishments, which are the 20, 25, 27 in color flat pearls. These look like they happen to be the cloud cover dots. I'm going to put one at the bottom. And there we go. Have a lovely day. I think it would be a great birthday card or just a pick-me-up card, kind of like a thinking of you card. Perfect for friends and relatives, aunts, grandmothers, sisters. Have a lovely day. I think it's so pretty for this season. But let's switch it up a little bit with a fun card. These little guys, let's see if I can find it, are stinking cute. These are the turtle-yawesome turtles, and they will just make you smile. That turtle is up to all kinds of activities. There is a coordinating pattern paper that has them swimming, has them bicycling, barbecuing, has them away at the beach. It is just a totally fun bundle. And this one is presenting a birthday cake. This one is featuring my all-time favorite out of the new catalog. It's called the Party Dies. You're going to see those banners, and it also has a very large alphabet set, which is perfect for creating either as a banner that would say happy birthday, or in this case, it's a focal point on a card. And you know what? Before I go any further, I'm going to share with you something else that I mentioned just a couple minutes ago. Let me bring that out. As I was creating the Have a Lovely Day, I mentioned the suite, the Flowers and Bloom suite, and the other dies that are available. So just like we had the Lovely, we have a Bloom. And here's what I mean about the thin script and the outline. So the Lovely also has that outline that you can add. You can see I use the same cool flowers, those pretty timid tiger flowers. And this is a really fun fold. I'm going to be talking about that again in just a minute. And then I've created another card with the same suite. Have a lovely birthday. Look at these gorgeous flowers. These are part of the same suite. So these bundles include the die cuts for this large flower, the smaller flower, the small stems, the large leaves and flowers. It's just an amazing suite. I think you can do a lot with it for a lot of different occasions. So that is the Florals in Bloom collection. Now I'm going to go back to the Turtle-yawesome. We're talking about the party dies and the turtles. Let me share the supplies I'm using. So this one has a colored card base. I think mostly I tend to use white card bases. The color happens to be called Poppy Parade. It's a beautiful red, nice and bright and cheerful. It's great for birthdays, right? And I'm going to grab my bone folder and burnish that down. And here's what's going on. I've got two banners. One has the paper, the pattern paper, that's really festive, like a birthday. On the flip side, you can see some of the turtles that are not being used. There's a turtle with a little tube around his waist. There's a turtle with the towel wrap and the towel. She's kind of like a spa turtle to me. Anyway, I think it's super cute. And we are going to create a little banner with that. So here's how I'm doing that. Let's see. I'm looking for a pen or pencil. And I see one across the table. So first off, I'm going to punch a little hole so I can string that banner. And I need the little guide, just a little pen or pencil point. I'm going to bring in my punch. These are called the whole, this is from the Hole Punch Assortment. This one's a tiny little 1/16 of a punch. I'm just making the little hole because I'm going to feed my banner through. Now, you will see on my project sheet, I have the ribbon going to the back of the banner, and then I've got another sample with it here at the front. So I'm not sure which one I like better. I like them both, honestly. Let's see. So I'm going to feed this one behind. So I'm going to start with a little knot. That's going to keep it from slipping through. And push that knot all the way over. And this one I'm going to feed front to back. And again on the other side. So this is totally making the banner from the party dies. That includes banners and an alphabet set. And then I'm going to knot this as well. Well, let's see if I can use my Take Your Pick tool. This is the awesome tool that does lots of little handy tasks. And I'm trying to have this little knot as flat as possible. There we go. All right. There, and I'm gonna snip that down just a tiny bit. I have ribbon scissors, and they look like my other paper snips, but these have a little ribbon on them. That means I've only used them to cut ribbon, so they stay nice and smooth. All right, this goes down flat onto the card front. And I'm going to bring it down. All right, so there's my background layer. Now, here's what I'm doing. My insert is a piece of basic white. So when I have a colored card base, sometimes I like to put a white insert. Makes it a little bit easier for the writing to be seen. And what I'm going to add to my insert layer is the negative of the banner that I just cut. So I saved this. A lot of times you would just toss it in the rubbish. I saved it so we could put it on the insert, and it kind of brings the decoration to the inside. And I'm just putting the tiniest little bit of liquid glue in that little rectangle. And I hope you can see, again, you don't want to put too much because that creates a sticky, wet mess. And I'm going to bring that down and start with the wider part and push that right onto my insert. And there you go. It just borders the sentiment a little bit nicer. Here's what we're stamping there. And I'm going to be stamping Hope Your Birthday is Turtly Awesome. And I'm going to stamp that in black. Let's see, I'm using my Memento Tuxedo black pad. And I think I need to tidy up. I get too many things on the worktop. And, all right, I do need a piercing mat, so when you have photopolymer stamps that don't have that red, that backing like the red rubber stamps have, it's best to have a little bit of cushion underneath because it gives you a better impression, and I think it offers more of a guarantee you're going to have a good image. And again, if you don't use the piercing mat, you might do just as well, but you have a better chance. You increase your odds of getting a nice image when you have it. So, Hope Your Birthday is Turtly Awesome. Super fun, right? So I love the puns. I'm going to push that aside, and I'm going to add that to the insert right here, right now. And sometimes when I have a tendency not to keep capping my glue, and it will clog a little bit faster because of that. But when I'm just doing a card session, I just leave it open. I have about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Now that alone, I think it makes the insert look really fun, right? With that little leftover that we had. There's my card front. We're going to do a little bit of stamping before I continue on a scrap white. I'm going to stamp my turtle and that cute cake. Let's see. And I'm going to stamp my greeting that says hooray. So in basic black, or sorry, Memento black, I'm stamping my little turtle. We're going to be coloring him in with blends. I'm going to stamp my cake, again in tuxedo black. And I'm done with the black, so let me cover that up. And then I'm going to bring in the Poppy Parade ink pad. So remember, one of the things I love about Stampin' Up! Is the color coordination. We've got the Poppy Parade paper, I've got the Poppy Parade ink, and there's Poppy Parade in the pattern paper. So everything is matchy-matchy. All the reds are right. All right, and I'm going to stamp down hooray. And close up my ink pad. I'm going to bring in my blends. And right now they're a mess. Let me organize them for you so you can see what I'm doing. I can move that piercing mat out of the way. All right, so let's see what we've got going on here. Now, because I have the bins still ready from my in-person sessions, I have extra blends. Sometimes I have 2 crafters working on the same card at a time. Hence, I have multiples. All right, so here's my color scheme. I'm using light granite gray, and I'm going to color the cake plate. Crumb cake to color the cake. I've got greens to color the turtle, yellow for the candles, and a little bit more green for the turtle. And then I have a regular marker in strawberry slush, which happens to be a new in color. I'm going to use that for icing on the cake. So let's take it away, do our coloring. And before I color, I'm going to snip off this hooray so it stays nice. I'm going to outline cut that in just a second. Let's bring in our images. Again, gray granite cake, and I'm using the bullet tip, kind of like a silver cake plate. Crumb cake for the cake, so kind of like a little chocolate cake. You could go darker. I just didn't want to, I wanted that pink icing to show up nicely. I'm going to take my marker, and I'm using the writing tip to just follow along on the icing, the decorating. And next, my Daffodil Delight for my candles. All right, there's one image done. So let's bring in the turtle. He's got a big belly there. I'm going to color him with the dark lemon lime twist. I'm also going to do his head with the same color. So I actually don't have to worry too much about going over the lines. I don't want to color his nails. I want his nails to stay white, but his head, belly, arms, it's okay if I go into the other areas because I'm going to be using some of the other greens just to give it dimension. I know sometimes we think that everything has to be colored with one color, but the reason they're called blends is that you can mix your colors and blend the color, have a little bit of tones to it, the shadows, where the light hits. So there's that. And as well as his legs. And again, I'm going to stay away from the nails. I want the nails to stay white. And right now I am using the brush tip. If you have those little tight areas, it's easier to use the bullet tip so that you don't go over the lines. There we go. And he's got one more arm, right? Almost forgot. And again, staying away from the nails. So right now I'm just kind of filling in the color. Next, I'm going to come in with, let's see how this works. This is light Granny Apple green. And I'm just going to come in and add a little bit of contrast for certain areas. So he's got some tone in his skin, or I don't know, is that what you call the shells and things of the, I guess it would be skin. So I'm just going over like this, it's built into the stamp, all these little lined areas. And then I go around the edges as well. So a little bit of shadowy bits underneath his chin and blend it in right there. Just so we can blend it in. It's not all flat, one color. And to blend it, since I've added a different color, I'm going to bring back that lemon lime twist so that you can't see that definition so much. I'm blending it in here. So it's a little bit darker when you first lay it down. As it dries, it's going to get lighter. And I'm even going to bring in a little bit of the darker Granny Apple. There we go. Just because the turtle's skin is a little bit rougher, right? Blend that back in with the lemon lime twist. By the way, the alcohol blenders will soak through on the paper, so make sure that you're not coloring directly atop a nice table. I'm going to show you so you can see how the color comes through. That's totally normal. All right, so let's keep going. We got to do his shell. And for this shell, I've got shaded spruce. I'm going to start with the light shaded spruce. And let's see, use the brush tip. And it's okay, I'm going to do his entire shell in the light. And then I'll come back with the dark and fill in the spots on his shell. So we've got lots of greens going on the turtle. This time I'm going to use that bullet tip, that little finer tip. So there we go. There's our coloring technique. We're using the blends. Now, you don't have to fussy cut this. The bundle includes the dies to cut a couple of the turtles in the stamp set and the accessories like the cake. So let me bring in my sandwich, bring that down, and I will say I have lots of crafters that don't want to goof, so I always have my Post-it tape or my washi tape available to kind of hold the die in place so it doesn't shift and you don't ruin your image after you've spent so much time coloring it. So next, I'm going to put the cutting pad on top and cut. So you might hear a little bit of noise. That's just the cutting going on. You're not harming the machine. I'm going to take the cake out. There we go. And the turtle. Put my dies away. All right, now look what happens when you cut this little turtle. His arm has been cut, so it pops up. And we need that because he's going to be wearing a little spotty apron. This was cut from the pattern paper that coordinates with this bundle. On the back side, remember the pattern paper always has two sides, so you have choices. And we need that little cut in his arm. We're going to push his apron right underneath there. And then go ahead and put his apron on. And we are going to feature him on another banner. This one I created with basic white, and then I added a little layer of cloud cover, kind of like the floor layer. So he's just not floating on white. And I'm just going to add him flat, a couple of drops of glue. Bring him down. Now, he is a baker, so I die cut his little baker's hat out of Darling Duckling, which is a new in color. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on his head. And then I'm going to add his cake. This time I'm going to use it dimensional. And pop that up. He's holding on to the cake. And I'm going to bring back in that greeting that says hooray, and we are going to outline cut this. So the way I do that with my paper snips, takes just a minute or so. I'm just turning the paper, and I'm leaving a tiny border around the lettering. And I'm moving the paper. Did I say that already? As opposed to the scissors. It just has a smoother cut to it that way. I love this little bundle. It's not a little bundle. It's a great set. It has coordinating paper and it has a coordinating scrapbook bundle. So the scrapbook selection has a different sheet of paper and it includes other die cuts of the turtle and some accessories for you to complete. I think it's up to 3 scrapbook spreads. So lots of fun with this Turtle-yawesome collection. It would be a great birthday theme party. All right. There you go. So there's your, there's the outline greeting. Whoops, sorry about that. Just knocked that camera. And I'm going to add that with dimensionals. This time I'm going to use my mini dimensionals. And just like my adhesives, I like to have my dimensional assortment as well, because sometimes you need standard, sometimes you need mini, sometimes you need black. So Stampin' Up! Offers the dimensionals and all those different assortments. And I'm just going to add that there. Not quite done yet. Let's add him to the card front. And I am adding him with dimensionals, so I'm just going to use the standard dimensionals. And pretty much in the corners. I think this card is appropriate for kids and adults, boys, girls, men, women, hooray. There we go. And let's embellish. I have these sweet strawberry slush and pretty in pink gems. And they have adhesive already on the back, so I'm just going to use my fingernail to lift it off. Place one there, and then I'll put another one up towards the cake. And there is our adorable birthday card, Turtle-yawesome, for, as I said, men, women, boys, girls, young and old. I think it's a super sweet card. I know which you prefer, with the black banner in front or towards the back. Make a comment down below. Tell me what your thoughts are. So we've done cute, we've done pretty, we've done manly. I think this is the time of year. We also need those grad cards, right? I have a super cool grad card. It was a favorite in person. So this fun fold, I will be offering the PDF on how to make the template along with at least 12 different designs for this arrow card. We're going to focus in on the decoration, but let me bring that in so you can see what we're doing. Let me leave that there for my reference card and bring in my supplies. So the tutorial will be available free with any purchase now through the end of the month. I will be emailing out the PDF the first few days of June. So let's get this decorated first. We're going to start by laying down our pattern paper. I'm going to fold up my card base. And I'm going to create the card base. And this just takes a little bit of adhesive, you're going to see. I'm trying to go fast because the decorating is what takes the time. And this will take a little bit of time to adhere. So let me put that down. What I'm going to do is apply some pressure to that. There we go. And my decoration on this, I need to cut it. I'm going to bring this down. I need to find my midpoint on the paper. I'm going to cut this down, move my glue out of the way, and I absolutely love this template. It's actually pretty easy once you have all the points and the measurements, and I will be giving that to you in the PDF. Place an order. The other way you can get the PDF without an order is if you're on my team. I do post them on our team page as well. All right, so I have my 3 pieces there. 2 of these are going to go on the insert, like so. And again, flat adhesive. And I'm going to abut that to the insert. So if you have grad cards that you need, it would be really cool to do this in the school colors, but as this is a generic one, I'm just doing the traditional black and gold. If you like black and silver, that would work as well. All right, and let's stamp the insert. This says time to celebrate. And because again, this is one of those photo polymer stamps, I'm gonna use my piercing mat, bring that in. I'm inking up in Memento Black and just gonna stamp right towards the center. There we go. All right, then I have pre-die cut some of the decoration that goes on the card front. And what I did, let's see, I was hoping to show you. Let's see if I can find the dies. These rosettes come from a celebration bundle called Round We Go, which includes the dies that you can layer up to make those fun rosettes. You can make them flat or you can make them 3D. I chose to make them flat because the card itself is already going to be a little bit bulky. And I cut one in the gold, the burnished gold. It's going to go flat onto a black rosette. Layer that up. All right, and let's bring in our card base. Hopefully it's secure. And the insert goes in the side. And it's going to have about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. On the front is going to go that last piece of the pattern paper. We cut 3 triangles. And it goes right on the front. You're going to have a small border all the way around. All right, and that rosette goes right towards the top. And again, liquid glue. So there's some in the middle, and then I put some on the other points so it doesn't slip off. Whoops. And it's about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch from the top. All right, so now we need to work on, I'm going to slide that over a little bit. There we go. We need, oh, that was off center totally. There we go. Next, we're going to work on that grad, which is the focal point. And I love an alphabet set. And right now, Stampin' Up! Has 3 cool alphabet sets. This one that I'm using is called the, let's see if I have it here. Well, It is called the Alphabet a la Mode die set. The letters are about 2 inches tall. They're about 1/2 inch wide. They're a great size for cards. You can see, I'll show you, you get the entire alphabet and then some. So you get the special characters as well to make whatever greeting you would like. So has the numbers and the exclamation points, the ampersand, some punctuation. A great set for your stash. And I'll show you how I created my focal point. So let me bring in my brushed gold. On the back of the brushed gold, I'm going to put some adhesive sheet so that I don't have to put any liquid glue or any kind of adhesive on those thin letters. So, have you used adhesive sheets before? Stampin' Up's sheets come in 3 pieces, so they're like 2 inches wide, and right now I'm struggling to find that one point that kind of separates the protection from the sticky, and honestly, I usually don't have too much of a problem finding that little section, but, oh, there we go. Okay, so one side is going to be tacky and the other is slick. I take that tacky side and I'm going to apply it down to the back of my gold. And I just kind of align it. Now this one, the piece is a little bit wider than my gold because the sheet comes in 3 panels, 3 2-inch panels. The gold is narrower than 2 inches. And I don't want to run that stickiness through my cutting machine, so I'm going to take that backing, put it right up to the edge, and I'm going to trim it off. Now you might wonder, well, why did I have to put that on the edging? So that I wouldn't get my scissors all sticky. I'm constantly using Goo Begone on my scissors as well, so I'm just trying to cut down on the messiness. So now I have my gold, brushed gold foil. I'm going to be ready to die cut right here. And now for in-person club, I had this ready to go, so no one had to struggle with it. But my Post-it tape kind of broke off there. I need one more letter, and I can either wing it or I can reattach that, and I think I'm going to reattach it. I don't want it to shift over while I'm cutting, so I'm just going to attach that down. So my gold is pretty much cut to size. It's the same sandwich I've been using earlier. I just need to find my cutting plates. Let's see where they are. Oh, right there, and the top plate. Okay, this gets run through the mini. So you can hear the machine cutting. I'm going to bring that there. All right, then I'm going to push off my letters, and I am looking, there we go. Excuse my arm reach. I'm going to push the letters out with my take your pick. And this is not for the faint of heart crafter, the next part that I'm going to do. But I think it's well worth the time and patience to really make the grad stand out. You're going to see what I mean in just a second. So it's okay if I'm just going to pull off the foil bit. Let's see if let's see. I'm going to pull off the backing right here, all right? And I'm going to add it to a piece of basic white. We're going to create an outline very similar to the florals in bloom wording that I showed you earlier. except there is no die to create this. We have to cut it on our own. I'm going to take off the backing again. See, that adhesive sheet really helps with these tiny thin parts of the letter. And what I'm doing, I am going to be aligning the feet or the serifs on these letters. That creates my nice straight baseline. I'm going to leave a little bit of space in there because I'm going to cut between them. One more letter. And again, I'm looking to align the serif on the lettering. Now you could actually use the negative of this too if you're careful and you save these remnant pieces to come back and construct this. That also would be a great piece to use. Now I just pushed them off my desk, so I know they're here, but you need the bit for the R and for the A as well. And you could make another project with that. Right now we're going to focus on the grabs. So this, again, we're going to outline cut, fussy cut, and it just takes a little bit of time and patience. Some overachievers at In-Person Club actually cut more than I had cut. I'm going to show you my original. So I'm just going to get into those bigger areas where I can easily cut. And it's kind of hard to see. It would be awesome if there was an outline die, but that's impossible because you're making your own words. I'm going to get rid of some of this extra paper. It makes it easier to rotate the paper with less paper. All right, let me bring in my reference card, what I'm talking about. So you can see I'm cutting away the spaces between the lettering, and it takes a little bit of time, but I think it's worth the effort. I'm not sure. I apologize if I'm going off camera. I have to. It's kind of hard to look at it closely with the camera in the way. So I know in town there were some graduations going on today. Pretty exciting to see kids in their caps and gowns. Thinking it is that season now. And I'm going to come in here also between the R and the D, and sorry, the G. And if you're an overachiever, by all means, you can take out all of the space inside the letters as well. I chose to leave a little bit of it behind just because I wanted to get some more accomplished. It is time consuming. It's totally doable too if you have an X-Acto knife. So either way it works. Paper snips work and X-Acto. Kind of getting to that point where it's kind of hard to get in there around the bend. It's a very narrow layer. I'm going to cut this off here. As I said, sometimes it's easier to cut when you eliminate some of the paper. Right through here. All right, so on my original, I need to clean up just a tiny bit. And on my original, I did come in here between the R. Now, if you don't take the time to do every last bit like I did, it's okay. No one will be comparing your card to anything else. And then I'm going to come in here as well between those little serifs. Almost done. All right, so that is very similar to my original. I did have overachievers in class that took out the inside of the D and the inside of the R. You can do as much or as little as you like. This then is going to get added with dimensionals, and I am using both sizes. So there's a couple of places where you have wider space, and then there are spaces where you need more narrow dimensionals. And then there are a couple of places where you need those thin strips. So let's see if I can grab a little bit off one of my sheets. Okay, I just took a little bit off the border. It's a thin strip, and I'm going to add some of these strips to the lettering. This is truly a very special grad card, right? Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, so let's lay this on to our focal point art. And I just need to remove all these little backings. So I love the black and gold, the sparkle. We're going to add a little bit more bling to it for celebration purposes. All right, then I'm going to add this right up here. There we go. What do you think? I'm pretty excited about it. We're not done yet though. Let's bring in our bling. And these are just the basic rhinestones. Nice and glittery. And I can see I have a hot mess over here. All right, so I'm going to put a large one right in the middle of that rosette, and then some smaller ones off to the side. And there we go. There is our final card. It's a graduation card. Very elegant. Time to celebrate. Oops, extra dimensional cover in there. All right. These are the cards that are going to make someone's day this time of the year. We have the grad card. We have hooray. We have a lovely day. And then one more that can be either a happy Father's Day or a happy birthday. I hope you enjoy these cards. They truly will make someone's day. I'm going to remind you of the great starter kit opportunity. We have till the end of May to sign up and take advantage of the $165 shopping spree for only $99. And also to bear in mind that a scrapbooking retreat is coming up. The kits will go on offer May 28th for a July 16 virtual event. I'm really excited about getting my 12 spreads completed. Finally, some photos in a photo album. I'm Anna Marie. I'm here to invite you to create and make someone's day. Get the cards in the mail. If you watch the replay, please leave a comment. Let me know you stopped by. I love seeing who's in and reading your comments on how you enjoyed the cards. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you next month.